One stock from last week that had been in the news was HP Electric. It bags another significant order to the tune of 144 crores for the supply of smart meters. They've also got orders with 2,100 crores for supply of smart meters in July. Total order book now at 3,700 as of July 2024. We have the management with us to help us understand the significance of this order, the timelines of this order, and of course, if they are bidding for any more orders such as this. Gautam Seth, joint MD of HPL Electric, joins in. Good morning, Gautam. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Gautam.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. First, maybe you want to start by telling our viewers a little bit more about the verticals that you currently operate in. I do understand you've bagged a 144 crore rupee order from smart meters. The timeline of this order, how significant is this vertical to your top line? Is this one of many orders from what we understand? Just a little bit of background will be useful as well.
Yeah, sure. So we are basically into two major verticals. One is the smart meter and the projects related with that. And other is the consumer and industrial business. Now, in smart meter, we have been in metering since '96, and we are one of the leading meter manufacturers in the country. And as you are aware, the government has come out with the RDSS scheme with a DB foot model in it, wherein 25 crore smart meters are to be installed across the country. And this is, of course, to bring down the AT&C losses. And it's a major revolution, I would say. It's one of the biggest smart meter rollout program in the world. With this, of course, we expect the government expects that a major boost would come into the electrical segment, which would in case support the overall GDP of the country. Now, coming to the smart meter, we are currently sitting on over 3,700 crores orders, and every order, including the order, this 143 crores, is very significant for us. We are right now supplying to almost every major AMI SP, and even in this one, we gain another fresh AMI SP customer. And the rollout of this is going to be roughly in about 2 to 2.5 years, and that's usual for any AMI SP supplies. So metering, of course, is one of our major products and solution what we are offering. In the consumer and industrial division, we have the switch gears, we have the solar products, we have the lighting, the LED lighting, and the wire and cable. So in all, a major portion of our product range is from the smart meters right now.
Right. So firstly, tell me how much does smart meter contribute to your top line? And you mentioned that the rollout of this order is over the next 2 to 2.5 years. And it's from a new AMI SP. First, to begin with, when do you recognize the revenue of this order on your books? And if this is from a new AMI SP, do most of the businesses that you get come from repeat clients, which also means that once you've closed it with this new AMI SP, future revenue inflow is very likely? So first, when do you recognize this in your revenues?
Yeah, so our main portion is on the supply of smart meters. So the revenue gets recognized as and when the supplies are made. So there is no, it's not a project. It's actually a supply order, what we have. So the revenue recognition is based on the supplies. Now, when you look at it, the entire model of the metering, what the government perceives under the RDSS, this is and the entire supply is going to be through the AMI SPs, which are actually the system integrators and the system providers. So, not there are not too many of them. So, but our business is going to be in future through a lot of repeat orders, which we expect through these type of AMI SPs. Now, you need to understand that the AMI SPs are pre-qualified, and many of the pre-qualifications are done based on our meter, which are prior tested with them. So when we look at the business coming out, obviously there is going to be a lot of repeat orders coming in from them, because their systems, which they are placing in each and every household, are getting aligned based on our meters.
Can I just understand that in a little more detail, Mr. Seth? And good morning, Tamanna here. Why would there be repeat orders? And even as you're establishing more and more smart meters, first you have to increase the penetration of smart meters. You're saying there's a 25 crore target from the government. What is the frequency of repeat orders, and why would they be repeat orders?
Yeah, so let me explain it in detail. If you look at the utilities are right now giving orders to the AMI SPs, and these orders are typically in bulk because the government expects that the entire order book of these 22 crore sanctioned meters are going to be probably done in the next 12 months. Already, I think over 11 crore orders have been placed on the various AMI SPs. Now, in turn, the AMI SPs are supposed to place the orders on meter manufacturers like HPL. So as and when the delivery schedules are happening based on performance, based on the credible, adherence to the supplies, the quality and integration, that is when the repeat orders would come in. So it's a long-term partnership.
Okay. I got it. So essentially additional orders or repeat orders from the service provider to you because of your track record. So understood.
Exactly.
So Mr. Seth, out of the 22 crores, you're saying 22 crore smart meters will be put in the next 12 months. What is the share of the pie you could hope to potentially get?
Yeah, so I'll just correct what you just said. The orders are going to get released to the entire order book at the pace it is going. It would get released to the AMI SPs. Now they in turn have over 2.5 to 3 years to install them. So the orders coming to the meter manufacturers like HPL would take a little more longer time. I'm going by the pace, the way the rollouts are happening. But in terms of, and this may extend even up to 3 to 5 years going ahead.
So if I look at this financial year, when are the bulk of these orders expected to hit? In which quarter?
No, so they are having going on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So as I said earlier, as more and more supplies are happening, and the AMI SPs have delivery schedules of various circles which they are catering to. So those supplies would keep coming in. Once the performance of a meter is established within the solution of the AMI SP, then the repeat orders would keep coming in. Now, our strength, if you look at HPL, we have been in meters for last over 27 years. We have seen the various technological changes, the various generation of meters which have been coming in. So a company like us does have a big advantage over the other peers as well, where we have an integrated R&D of over 135 people right now working in R&D. We work on all types of technologies, on softwares, communication, now even going into the certain mechanical components. So overall, the strength of our performance over the years is going to get us the further business which goes on. And since the product has a 10-year warranty, definitely it is the product needs to be really robust at the Indian market conditions, and the technology needs to be at a very high level of performance, and which I think as HPL we definitely fall in that category.
Okay, Gautam, good morning to you. And
good morning.
From what would the current mix of the different segments that you have be? Sure, smart metering is the buzzword, but you are present in 3 others, some of which are hyper competitive. So what's the current mix? What do you envisage the current mix to be, or the mix to be, let's say 5 years out?
Okay, so currently the smart meter is about 60%, and the 40% is distributed between switchgears, lighting, and wire and cables. And for the next at least 2 years, because that is when the bulk of the smart meter supplies would happen, I would say the ratio would remain between 60 to 65%, although the consumer and industrial segment is also due for a big growth. So that would continue like this, but maybe in 5 years down the line, maybe again it comes back to a 50-50 product ratio, which traditionally HPL has always been, where metering has been 50% and the balance have been at 50%.
The other aspect, Gautam, is, so if indeed, let's say for the next 2 years it's smart metering and then it changes, what's the kind of growth rate that you envisage? Because your near term is driven by smart meters. If it peters out a little bit after those 2 years, if it does, we don't know that. Let's assume you get repeat orders as well. What's the kind of growth rate that you factoring in, not just for FY25, let's say for the next 3 years?
No, I think if you look at our growth rates, even going back 1 year, last year, as a company, we did about 16%. The metering has been at 27%. But other than metering, even switchgear last year was 27% growth. That again, we are seeing a good amount of growth. If you look at the domestic switchgears, even in the first quarter, has been 19% growth. The wire and cable again has been performing over the last 2 years pretty well. That's again one segment where we see a lot of excitement and a good growth over the next 5 years. Now, coming back to your question, when the ratios of growth for the company would be in anywhere at about 20 to 25%, because the smart meter, and this is especially I'm talking about smart meters, because that is where we already have the orders, the requirements are there, and the peak, I believe, would come somewhere maybe in the 3 to 5 years. Still a long way to go. A lot of implementation still needs to be done because although orders have been given out, the implementation is still scheduled for next 3 to 5 years. So I would say that, when we look at the smart meter part, the next 5 years are going to be of a good high growth, and there is a lot of potential which would again, a lot of opportunity which would again emerge out post these 5-7 years, where the international markets would become very relevant for us because with the kind of performance we would be having, that again opens a new scope. A new level of a new generation of smart meters would eventually emerge out going forward beyond that.
Right.
Now, looking at our other verticals, the wire and cable also is again driven by a strong growth from the infrastructure segment, also from the revival of the building segment. So this is again one place where we are now looking to invest, looking to really focus to take that to a bigger level.
Mr. Seth, one quick question. Everything you mentioned does add up, and we talked about revenues. What I do want to understand from you is margins and profitability. And the reason I also ask you this is because the timeline of these rollouts, like you mentioned, is 1.5, 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, right? Commodity prices are fluctuating, market conditions are always changing. How do you hedge yourself against this? And what is the outlook on the margin picture, keeping that as the backdrop?
No, so we have seen an improvement in the margins. If you see in the first quarter itself, our PAT went up by almost 145%. Our EBITDA margin improved by 40%. Even last year, our EBITDA improved by 27%. So overall, the smart metering, of course, has a very good margin profile. We've maintained in that way a lot of work by the R&D to keep down the cost. The switchgear, again, is traditionally a high margin product. We have seen an improvement in margins in wire and cable as well. Now, yes, the prices for smart meter are fixed for 2.5 years. But first thing, the certain fluctuations, the regular fluctuations have been factored into the pricing. That is one. But the role of metals is quite less. The ICs, especially the ICs and the active and passive electronic components, which are generally imported. So we normally book them at the time when we receive the work orders. So that negates any fluctuations which we make, which may affect our margins. So overall, due precautions and have been taken to ensure that the margins are kept steady. Although, of course, based on the geopolitical or any type of things, certain fluctuations can always happen. But I think they are well factored into it to the best of our ability.
Mr. Seth, congratulations, good luck, and we will speak to you soon. But that was a big order win coming in for HPL Electric.